Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
Did I just see a chicken on Wall Street? What's happening? What's happening to this show? It went off the rails with empanadas at the top of the hour, and now we're seeing chickens on Wall Street. Welcome back, everybody, to American Sunrise. All right, I'm David Brody. Happy Thanksgiving. The stock market closed today, obviously, but for bargain hunters, tomorrow is Black Friday, which will soon be followed by Cyber Monday, which will be never mind. Okay. Anyhow, it means potential deep discounts and so much more. Join us now with our daily dose of dollars and common sense with American Sunrise Early Edition host, the guy behind Jake's Takes Substack, Jake Novak, with the whole crew today. Jake, good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. What are your Black Friday and Cyber Monday predictions and expectations? What are you trying to sell me? Are you trying to sell me a watch? What's going on?
Electric car. I got to watch, and I also have a color TV. No, before I get into the actual items that I think are going to be sold, I'm more interested in the platforms. I have been really impressed by how Walmart.com and that website has continued to improve to the point now where I think I'm being very objective. I think it's a much better shopping experience than Amazon right now. I really do. I truly believe that, which is why Amazon is bugging out, by the way. They are now making a deal with ChatGPT to make their website better because Walmart is starting to eat their lunch a little bit in the experience. People who have never been on Walmart.com before, try it, because I think that's going to be the big winner on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I really believe that. That more than anything they're actually selling, the platform is what I'm watching.
That's really interesting, Jake, because I had joined Walmart's Premier Club, I don't remember what it was called, to get my groceries. Back during COVID is when this was. And they had misdelivered my groceries. My house is very hard to find, thank God. But I mean, Amazon pulls it off. And you know what? Whenever Amazon misdelivers my things, they'll send it to me free and make up for it. Walmart wouldn't do anything. And I spent days and weeks chasing them down, and they would not do anything about the fact that they kept misdelivering my stuff, and it just cost me the money. So I sort of detached from them. So I might have to give them another chance based on your recommendation, because also I hate supporting Amazon for obvious reasons. Does the average American, Jake, with all the economic suffering we're doing out there, thanks to the Biden administration and the influence that it continues to have on our economy, do we have a lot to be thankful for economically as we sit down to our holiday meals this year?
Yes, we do. And, all of us, including those of us in the more fair news media, have to do a better job of reporting on some of the aspects of the American economy that aren't getting reported on. We'll talk about the prices of things here and there. We do a good job of saying how gas prices have come down, and that's great. But the passage of the big, beautiful bill included something that we should all really be thankful for, this incredible new tax deduction, up to 100% for small businesses on the business equipment they buy. It could be a laptop. It could be a cash register, one of those Stripe things.
It could be a boat.
This is going to be, it has already really boosted a lot of mid-sized to small businesses in America.
No, it's true. Your boat, your car. Some of the things that if you use them for business, and you really do, it's amazing the things that can be a deduction. Check on it, because it really is. You're absolutely right. I was just reading all about this yesterday, Jake, and our partner, our advertiser and sponsor, Julio Gonzalez, does a lot of that stuff. You can check on that stuff.
Yeah, it's important to remember we missed, again, I was pounding the table on it, but the first Trump tax bill, which basically doubled the standard deduction for people in America who don't itemize their taxes, that was a much bigger reason for the Trump boom in the economy than any gift to billionaires. And don't let the left-wing media and the people who aren't even trying to be partisan, but they're ignorant, tell you otherwise. It was things like that. It was also the fact that unlimited data became free on your cell phone and on your internet during the first Trump administration. Those two things had much bigger part of it. And this big beautiful bill and this deduction thing, remember, job creation in America only comes from mid and small business. Large corporations just move jobs around from one side to the other. There's no net gain in big corporate jobs in America. It's only small business. And so help to small businesses is how we get jobs created.
Absolutely.
Jake, the Fed cut interest rates twice this year, which leads to the question as we go into this holiday shopping season, whether that's going to really help people cut debt. Because let's just be honest, as we go in towards the Christmas shopping season, even getting through Thanksgiving, a lot of people are putting additional funds on their credit cards, which, of course, are tied to interest rates. Is this ultimately going to help Americans?
Well, it'll help a little bit. You know, for every point that the Fed cuts interest rates, maybe your credit card gets a quarter-point reduction. I mean, it really is a slow trickle down to your credit card bill. But that certainly doesn't hurt, and I would like to see more of that come down. But what we really need is something to help the supply chains for some of these companies. A lot of reasons why these prices are higher and you're having to use more, charge more on your credit card is because the companies themselves are seeing higher costs, not from tariffs. We've seen all the doom and gloom predictions that the tariffs back in April when they were announced were going to crash the economy. That didn't happen. In fact, some companies are finding ways to reduce their costs in the light of tariffs, but it's still a supply chain issue. We're still having issues with that. We've had all kinds of supply chain issues this year. Look at Ford and the other car companies that have been strangled by that aluminum factory fire in New York earlier this year. We have to do a better job of protecting our factories, keeping our infrastructure going, and keeping that supply chain going. That is better than interest rates right now. But interest rates being cut will help people invest in more factories and better supply chain programs. So indirectly, Terrence, absolutely, it can help them.
Jake, what about these beef prices? These beef prices are through the freaking roof. What's going on there? I mean, you're saying it's not tariffs, it's supply chain, or what's going on there exactly?
Well, we've had local regulations that aren't always federal regulations that have made things difficult for ranchers for a long time. We're seeing some help with that. You know, we had the EPA under Lee Zeldin last week free up some of the water rights rules, which affect ranchers indirectly. That's going to be a help. But the best thing, David, to help when you see food prices going one way or the other is to boost the consumption of another type of food. In the history of the world, when beef prices go up, people start to eat more chicken, and that's what brings down the beef price. I feel like I'm doing the Chick-fil-A commercial with the cows, eat more chicken. But you know, that's what's going to solve it. And then people will start eating more turkey, and then they'll start eating, and that is really what's going to do it. But there are a lot of regulations that, well before the tariffs come in, there have been a lot of regulations in the ranching industry that make things difficult for them. I think that the Trump administration has cut some of them, and that's one of the reasons why he's asking them to support him on the whole tariff stuff and the importation of some beef, because he's helped them in other avenues. But ultimately, it's going to be up to you and me, the consumers. We need to eat more chicken. I want you to have chicken 6 times a day, and then call me.
Oh, that little cow.
Jake, are you also expecting that more Americans will pivot to empanadas now as a result?
I was going to ask, how are the empanada farming prices?
We're right here, Dr. Gina, you and me, right here.
I'm very upset about that little cow they were dragging across our screen.
Jake, we've run out of time, apparently.
David just doesn't want us to talk about empanadas. But Jake, one thing I really want to ask you, because we hear a lot of class warfare happening all the time, and it bothers me because it punches every single time anybody does anything to hurt the rich. It sounds so good, like we all want revenge for some reason if we don't consider ourselves the rich, right? But the problem with it is these big CEOs and these big companies, when they're hit with something, they don't just take a smaller paycheck. They just hire fewer people. Can you talk to us for just a moment about some of the things that are happening now, some of the things that happened under the Biden administration that eliminated jobs because they hit the rich or because they're handing out money to maybe lower and middle class families, but all that really does is devalue our dollar. Talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, there's 2 things I want everyone to remember. This is really important. First, a secular thing, and then Thanksgiving, which I think is a quasi-religious holiday. I'll bring in a little bit of a religious message. First is a secular thing. You know what the minimum wage is? You know what the minimum wage has been since the year 0 and is now? The minimum wage is 0. No one is required to hire anyone in America or pay them anything. That's the minimum wage. That's always been the minimum wage. It will always be the minimum wage. And so when you heavily tax a company or a very wealthy person, they don't have to pay their workers more. They can just lay them off. Yeah. They can just decide not to do less business. They can be like Smaug in the Hobbit movie and just sit on top of money. And also, I think that there's a conflation in America between the words jealousy and resentment. Jealousy isn't always a bad thing, especially if it spurs you to do good things. But Gina, what you're talking about is resentment. If I can't have it, I don't want the rich people to have it either, and I just hate them, and I don't really care whether I gain or not. This is the story of Cain and Abel. Cain wasn't looking for God's grace. He was just angry at Abel and wanted him to die. And that didn't do anything for anybody. And the Garden of Eden or whatever, outside of east of Eden, their economy crashed because of Cain's crime. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
That
I
was,
tell you what.
I can't believe you did that in the short amount of time you did that in, Jake. That was
phenomenal.
Absolutely
That was
phenomenal.
pretty good.
Yeah.
That was great. We did tariffs and beef and the Bible.
And
great
empanadas.
stuff. And
Yeah, we're all
thank you,
hungry now.
Gina. Oh my.
Thank you, Dr. Gina. Thank
Jake,
you.
we've got to go, and we are back with more of this Thanksgiving edition of American Sunrise that is clearly off the rails in a moment.